Have you ever heard of a conspiracy so bizarre, it almost sounds too strange to be real? Some of the most outlandish theories turn out to have more truth to them than we could ever imagine. Today we're diving deep into 4 of the craziest conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. From government surveillance to secret infiltrations, these stories will challenge everything you think you know about history and power. We start with Project Hemisphere, a government operation that was far more invasive than most people would ever imagine. Then we'll explore the Church of Scientology's infiltration of the U.S. government. And if you think that sounds wild, wait until you hear about the Zimmerman telegram and the surprising connections between the U.S. government and Saddam Hussein. We'll wrap up with a twist about one of the most famous figures in American history, Walt Disney, who may have been more connected to espionage than you think. Stick around for a deep dive into these jaw-dropping conspiracies. Imagine this: every phone call, every text, every voicemail you send could be monitored by the government. That's exactly what happened with Project Hemisphere, an operation in partnership with AT&T. It began in 2007 but has roots stretching back to 1987. The U.S. government secretly purchased data from AT&T tracking the communications of millions of Americans. Now here's where it gets even crazier. AT&T wasn't just handing over this information for free. Law enforcement agencies across the country were paying millions for access to it. They didn't need a warrant. They didn't need probable cause. They just needed money. The data included everything: who you called, where you were, what time it was, and even your texts and voicemails. This is the stuff of dystopian fiction, yet it was happening in real life right under our noses. But it wasn't just the government keeping tabs on the public. They were using the data for everything from drug investigations to bomb threats. In 2013, this project was exposed, revealing how deeply intertwined corporate America and government surveillance had become. And even now, the legal ramifications are still murky. So, what does this mean for your privacy? If you're an AT&T customer, is your data still out there being sold to the highest bidder? Personal insight. In a world where data is a commodity, we must ask ourselves, how much of our lives are we truly giving away for convenience? The more we rely on technology, the more we open ourselves to potential exploitation. Should we be worried? Or has this simply become the price we pay for living in the digital age? The Church of Scientology is no stranger to controversy. But did you know that in the 1970s, Scientology conducted the largest infiltration of the U.S. government in American history? It was called Operation Snow White, and it involved thousands of Scientologists embedding themselves in government offices across the globe to protect their church's interests, especially their tax-exempt status. The church's leader, L. Ron Hubbard, wasn't just concerned with running a religion, he wanted control. Through Operation Snow, white Scientologists infiltrated government offices, stole confidential documents, and even planted forgeries to discredit critics. In 1977, the FBI raided Scientology's offices, uncovering an immense amount of incriminating evidence. They found wiretaps, fake IDs, and stolen government files, all part of a covert plan to manipulate and control the government to avoid paying taxes. Personal insight. This story is a cautionary tale of how power can be abused when the lines between religion and business become blurred. Scientology's actions remind us that even seemingly benign institutions can be hiding dangerous secrets, and the truth often lies beneath the surface of public perception. Here's one you might not have heard about in your history class: the Zimmerman telegram. This was a secret diplomatic message sent by Germany to Mexico during World War I. It proposed an alliance between Mexico and Germany, encouraging Mexico to invade the United States in exchange for the return of territories like Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico. The telegram was intercepted by British intelligence and leaked to the U.S. government. Initially, the U.S. government didn't want to reveal the contents too early, as they feared it would undermine public support for neutrality. But once the telegram was made public, it stirred up such public outrage that it ultimately led to the U.S. entering World War I. Personal insight. The Zimmerman telegram demonstrates the thin line between neutral diplomacy and war. It also serves as a reminder that the smallest piece of information can alter the course of history. Had it not been intercepted, who knows how different the world's geopolitical landscape would be today. In the 1980s, the U.S. government was secretly aiding Iraq's Saddam Hussein during the Iran-Iraq War. The U.S. viewed Iran as a bigger threat, so they provided Saddam Hussein with military intelligence, satellite imagery, and even weapons. These materials were used in Iraq's chemical weapons program, which would later be used against both Iran and the Kurdish population. However, after Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait in 1990, the U.S. shifted its position. Hussein went from being a useful ally to a dangerous dictator in the eyes of the U.S. government, leading to the Gulf War. Personal insight. This piece of history reveals the uncomfortable truth about international alliances and realpolitik. The U.S. government's relationship with Saddam Hussein shows how nations will sometimes support even the most despotic regimes for strategic purposes, only to turn on them once their interests change. Did you know that Walt Disney was allegedly an informant for the FBI? During the 1950s, as the U.S. government was gripped by the fear of communism, Disney became an informant for the FBI. He provided information on suspected communist sympathizers within Hollywood and granted the FBI access to his theme parks for surveillance operations. Though much of the information about his relationship with the FBI is still classified, it's known that Disney was deeply involved in the government's efforts to root out communist influence in the entertainment industry. Personal insight. Walt Disney's connection to the FBI serves as a fascinating glimpse into the world of political influence and surveillance in mid-20th century America. It raises the question, how far can the government go in its efforts to control and influence culture? And what role do powerful figures like Disney play in shaping that narrative? These 4 conspiracy theories may sound outlandish at first, but history has a way of proving them true. Whether it's government surveillance, corporate infiltration, or secret alliances, these stories remind us that power is often wielded in ways we can't see. The more we understand these hidden layers, the better we can navigate the world around us. The real lesson here is the importance of questioning authority and staying informed. If we don't, we risk being blinded by the very systems that claim to protect us.